was reading about how much like of an education you guys had to have in like the world of sitcoms and how they work. I mean, did you learn anything that that really surprised you, or that really helped you out kind of on this journey?
I think what I found interesting was just how the sitcoms changed. Like when you look at what's happening in the history of the time and then how the sitcoms reflect that. I just found it to be really fascinating that like in the 70s you have the Brady Bunch that are preaching this perfect family nucleus while Vietnam's going on. So it's odd to then watch that, and then while capitalism is at its like most successful, highest height, we have like family ties and these shows that are all about like lessons to be learned, and there's this like strange sincerity that feels so weird that we became accustomed to in sitcoms, and so far from the films that were happening and what was happening in the world and the actual people, but yet we craved it, whatever that kind of escapism that sitcom provided. And then the moment you get into the aughts, everything's cynical.
You had like some childhood experience like watching Full House taping, so what was that like to re-explore as an adult and like kind of look at it a different way?
It felt super meta. Like it's the only way I can explain it. Like I just totally I just couldn't believe that how it all happened. And the same thing with Matt Shackman, our director. He was a child actor in sitcoms. Mm-hmm. Not only has he directed multiple sitcoms, but he was on them. He was on these backlots that we filmed in as a kid, as an actor. And so there are lots of like weird layers to how sitcoms kind of affected all of us in different ways. And I think Catherine Hahn's first project was a multi-camera sitcom that I was so shocked to hear. It's like her first job out of college. We all had this like weird connection to the genre.
Oh, it was wonderful. I went back to TV shows that I grew up on, like Dick Van Dyke Show and I Love Lucy and Bewitched and The Brady Bunch, and I really did grow up, even in England on Saturdays and Sundays, on Saturdays before sports and on Sundays after church, there would be these reruns of these shows. I loved them, and they were sort of this wonderful advertisement or advertisement, as you say in America, for America, and it worked. I live here now. I have a very soft spot for those. I have a big soft spot for those shows.
Was there a particular decade that you really enjoyed getting to explore?
My answer is going to be very leading, and it's unfortunate because you haven't been able to see the entire series, but there is stuff that happens later on when we have caught up with time that I love equally. There's a huge reveal and with an actor that I've always wanted to work with, and I have some real explosive scenes with him. There's stuff later on, but I will say that shooting the magic show was that in episode 2 was really fun.
We did like a sitcom boot camp before we started any of it, which was kind of like a rehearsal process, which for me, for like a theater nerd and somebody that's like passionate about like that kind of stuff, like who loves like the process of it so much, to be able to like rehearse with these people first. And we watched we watched episodes of television for each genre that we were doing. So for the 50s, it was a lot of Dick Van Dyke. For the 60s, it was a lot of Bewitched. And then we got to shoot the 50s episode in front of a live studio audience. So all that laughter you're hearing is real in the 50s episode. It was real cameras, it was real lights, it was real like, the any of the stuff you see, the like magic is like real wire work stuff. So it was like they really stayed true to the period, to the period of the sitcom that they were shooting, which was like a total dream. And I think it really adds to the tension because there isn't a lot of like making fun of it or winks. It just like truly just is. And so you're like waiting for, I just feel like it adds to some building something, which I'm very, you know, it's exciting. For me, it was like, I mean, I grew up watching, I mean, sitcoms are like, you know, like Family Ties, like those shows, like those are like so a part of who I am on the inside as a person. Like it just fills me with such nostalgia, like the formula, the rhythm, the every episode being resolved at the end, like the comfort of it. It's just like there's something about it that just like feels comfortable. Like it's like that noise of the laugh, like all those things that kind of like seep into your subconscious. I think a lot of ours from growing up. I mean, it's different now. It's like streaming and different things like that. But like for a lot of us, for a long time, like that was like a huge part of our childhood. And growing up was like that rhythm and sound. On a more personal note, I for sure did some live audience stuff in my career that never went to series. But I've got some failed sitcoms in my past.
Yeah, we had a whole sitcom boot camp in which Matt stood up at the front of the class with the television and his pointing stick and was like, do this. No, I'm joking. It was really, really cool. We watched a couple of sitcoms and we just talked about the style and what we wanted to infuse in our show, and also what we couldn't use because of, you know, the other things happening in the show that you'll find out about. So it was really, really cool though, but it was really so we're specific in our wardrobe and our makeup, but what I really, really appreciated was even like the DP with the way he lit. Jess Hall, our DP, would use even antique lights, like for the 50s episode. I got to watch that in the live audience, Marvel's first ever live audience, and I got to watch some of the filming of it, and they had the big antique hot lights, and it was like a theater play, and it was really cool.